Hi, my name is Corey Biazzo, and I'm a practicing American civil litigation attorney, and you are watching Executive Coup. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the arrest of Newark, New Jersey Mayor Ras Baraka by Department of Homeland Security DHS officers outside a privately owned facility that is leased by the U.S. government and used as an immigration and customs enforcement ICE detention facility in Newark, New Jersey. The government's actions discussed in this episode appear to have occurred at the direction of President Trump's former criminal defense lawyer and acting U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, Alina Habba. On March 28, 2025, Mayor Baraka was standing outside the Newark, New Jersey ICE detention facility and speaking with members of the public while members of Congress were inspecting the facility pursuant to their lawful congressional oversight authorities to conduct oversight of the executive branch as part of our system of checks and balances. At the time, some of the members of Congress expressed to ICE officials their desire to have Mayor Baraka accompany their inspection of the facility. After chants from the crowd outside the facility, a security officer of GEO, the company that owns the property that is leased to ICE, invited Mayor Baraka to enter the property, stating that it would calm the crowd being members of the public. Mayor Baraka entered the facility at the security guard's invitation and opening the gate for Mayor Baraka at 2:33 p.m. 6 minutes later, at 2:39 p.m., Mayor Baraka exited the property after being ordered to leave by Special Agent in charge of the Newark Division of Homeland Security Investigations, Ricky Patel, who threatened to arrest Mayor Baraka if he did not leave the property after Mayor Baraka explained that he was invited onto the property by an employee security guard of GEO, the private property owner. Mayor Baraka, before leaving the property, said to Agent Patel, quote, "I'm leaving now," to which Special Agent Patel responded, quote, "Okay, go." 5 minutes later, at 2:44 p.m., 20 DHS officers, many of whom were masked, violently descended upon Mayor Baraka and his security team outside of the ICE facility after being egged on by Special Agent Patel, who ordered DHS agents to, quote, "take him down." After his arrest, Mayor Baraka was detained by DHS officials for several hours, interrogated, fingerprinted, had his mugshots taken, and criminally charged with trespassing, only to have the charges dismissed by the U.S. Attorney's Office 13 days later. Yesterday, June 4th, 2025, Mayor Baraka sued Alina Habba and Special Agent Patel in a 4-count lawsuit for violations of his Fourth Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution for false arrest and malicious prosecution, and after Ms. Habba for defamation and false light. As the U.S. Supreme Court stated in a case called Payton v. New York in 1980, quote, "The Fourth Amendment protects the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Because arrests are seizures of persons, they must be reasonable under the circumstances." The U.S. Supreme Court stated in Atwater v. Lago Vista in 2001 that, quote, "A warrantless arrest is reasonable if the officer has probable cause to believe that the suspect committed a crime in the officer's presence." The Supreme Court has further stated in Maryland v. Pringle in 2003, quote, "To determine whether an officer had probable cause for an arrest, we examine the events leading up to the arrest and then decide whether these historical facts, viewed from the standpoint of an objectively reasonable police officer, amount to probable cause. It's clear from the facts as alleged in Mayor Baraka's amended complaint initiating his lawsuit against Trump administration officials that Special Agent Patel lacked sufficient probable cause to order his agents to arrest Mayor Baraka. Mayor Baraka was invited onto the property by a security guard employed by the property owner. Mayor Baraka voluntarily exited the property at the request of Special Agent Patel, an employee of the tenant of the property. Mayor Baraka was then arrested outside of the property and subsequently charged with criminal trespassing. None of the events leading up to the arrest, as alleged in the amended complaint, viewed from the standpoint of an objectively reasonable police officer, amount to probable cause to arrest Mayor Baraka. Further, Mayor Baraka was not arrested pursuant to an arrest warrant signed by a judge. Therefore, his arrest was in fact unlawful and in violation of his Fourth Amendment protections from unreasonable seizure of his person by government officials. Therefore, he is likely to succeed on his Bivens action to recover damages to compensate him for the government's violations of his Fourth Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. For more information on Bivens actions, check out episode 24. I'm going to briefly quote from sections of U.S. Magistrate Judge for the U.S. District of New Jersey, Andre Espinosa's May 21st, 2025 remarks when he granted acting U.S. Attorney Haba's office's motion to dismiss the frivolous trespassing criminal charges that it filed against Mayor Baraka following his unlawful arrest in violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment. Quote, "Your office serves the 9.5 million people who live in the District of New Jersey, and your colleagues are charged with working to protect those people and the interests of the Constitution under which we all live, and that you and every one of your colleagues swore to uphold when you joined that office. This is an immense responsibility with which comes an imperative for meticulous diligence and unwavering integrity. Your role is not to secure convictions at all costs, nor to satisfy public clamor, nor to advance political agendas. Your allegiance is to the impartial application of the law, to the pursuit of truth, and to upholding of due process for all." In his seminal 1940 address, the federal prosecutor, then Attorney General Robert H. Jackson, articulated a truth that remains as vital today as it was 85 years ago. He cautioned against the temptation to prosecute every conceivable offense, reminding prosecutors that, quote, "the citizen's safety lies in the prosecutor who tempers zeal with human kindness, who seeks truth and not victims, who serves the law and not factional purposes." Justice Jackson profoundly understood that the prosecutor's duty extends beyond simply securing convictions. It encompasses an obligation to select cases with the utmost care to ensure that the facts truly warrant the profound disruption that a federal charge brings to an individual's life. Justice Jackson warned against using the immense power of the government to pursue weak cases or to make examples without sufficient cause. The hasty arrest of Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, followed swiftly by the dismissal of these trespassing charges a mere 13 days later, suggests a worrisome misstep by your office. An arrest, particularly of a public figure, is not a preliminary investigative tool. It is a severe action carrying significant reputational and personal consequences, and it should only be undertaken after a thorough, dispassionate evaluation of credible evidence. The apparent rush in this case, culminating today in the embarrassing retraction of charges, suggests a failure to adequately investigate, to carefully gather facts, and to thoughtfully consider the implications of your actions before wielding your immense power. Your office must operate with a higher standard than that. Keep following Executive Coup for further updates on this matter and others related to the apparent executive coup attempt that is unfolding in the U.S. federal government at the direction of President Donald J. Trump. Thank you.